go in and see what your payment is actually going to look like. Because in reality, 90% of people looking at a home are not set at how much the home is, it's how much their monthly payment is. So if your monthly payment is the exact same, then why wouldn't you buy new, right? It's the same thing if you were looking at a car.
Hi, and welcome to Unlocking More with Brittany McWilliams. I'm your host, Brittany, and on today's episode, we're here with Nicole Fischer. Nicole is a new home sales consultant who specializes in guiding clients through the entire home building process. She focuses on new communities, open houses, and helping buyers navigate the journey of building and moving into their new homes. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you on here. It's super exciting. We'll talk about,
absolutely.
Yes, to let people know that maybe new home sales or new builds aren't out of the question for some first-time home buyers or even seasoned buyers, as I like to call them. So Nicole, with how did you get your journey started? What sparked your passion for helping families build their homes?
Well, I was working in logistics for almost 10 years, and I realized my day-to-day was looking the same every day, and I was sitting at a computer, and I wasn't really doing anything meaningful, and I just felt like my talents weren't being used. I really enjoyed working with people, and on the couple of sales visits I was able to do when I was in logistics, I was able to be in front of customers and then really seemed to take off on my business, being able to actually meet with people and connect with people. And that made me realize that maybe I needed a different career. So I started looking into getting into real estate and what that would look like. And this job kind of popped up, and it's been one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. I work for an amazing builder. Pulte Homes is absolutely wonderful. And I've really just enjoyed the process with helping people and doing something more meaningful. I mean, the first time you help someone that is a first time home buyer and they have that just sheer excitement over moving into their new home, there's no feeling that I can describe that's
not
similar.
A better feeling. And it's going to be throughout this show. Like all my guests that I have on here that I've done business with or know them personally, it's going to be the same story. I surround myself in this business with people that have compassion for families, for actual people. And I've said it in other episodes, it's not just about the paycheck for you, Nicole. It's about truly having that rewarding feeling of like, I actually get to help put these first-time home buyers or seasoned buyers in this brand new build. And how fantastic is that, Phil?
There's nothing like it. I mean, truly.
I think we're like, I know for myself, and just from hearing you talk just now, like it being so compassionate about what we do, I think it takes people like yourself, myself, just to that next level of caring for people.
Absolutely. And just being able to really, truly connect with people. I mean, I did a lot of more remote work before. I was talking to people over the phone, through email, and I was just missing that person-to-person connection. I waited tables for like 10 years of my life when I was a teenager throughout college. And, that was something that, while it was tough and waiting tables is not for the faint of heart, I realized after being away from it for so long that I really just missed interacting with people and working with customers face to face and hearing about their families or people bringing in their families. And, I've had families come in where they're like, okay, well, now I've got to bring in my brother and my uncle, and then my dad's coming in next week, and just the sheer excitement that people have over a new home is so exciting.
So, Nicole, how does your role as a new home sales consultant bridge the gap between builders' blueprints and family dreams?
Well, I think my main focus is really just bringing the home to life. I mean, sometimes there's times where I've walked someone through options on a home, looking at floor plans, and we may not even have that home to walk. So you have to really be able to visually help people see what their home is going to look like. There may be a home that has the same floor plan, but it has different options, and just walking them through and really talking them through every part and continuously asking questions. I'm always asking, okay, did you understand that? Was that clear? I try to make everything as simple and easy as, the process could be. So that way people really know what they're getting into, and people don't have that shock of like, oh, well, that wasn't supposed to be there, or I didn't think that was there. And, I don't really have those moments very often. So
No
I think
surprises at the end.
I overall just try to really clarify everything throughout, the entire process.
And that kind of leads us to like what makes a new development feel like a true community and what exciting trends are you seeing locally in Indy?
Well, I always try to, like, from the first step of someone coming in, the first thing we want to do is figure out if this community is right for them. Not every community is right for every person. And when we really look through, you have to know what area is going to work for someone. Sometimes you have people out of state. I've sold to a lot of out of state buyers. Even I had one all the way from Texas. So, and we did everything virtually. So if you can imagine, trying to really like sell what the home looks like and go over everything and just answer all questions, it was a little tough, but I feel like I did a really good job walking them through, and they didn't have any surprises at the end, and were so happy with their home when they finally like stepped in the home. And so I think part of it is, going over the community, going over the area. I've worked in a different community previous to this one that was kind of larger lots and bigger homes, and then more the move up buyer. This one has more starter buyers, and it has a lot of amenities right here. So we have a very like city meets suburbs feel here with a little bit smaller lots, but then you have the convenience of having all the amenities right here. So being able to figure out what works for everyone and knowing that I can help people in any of our communities. So I try to figure out that part first. Is this neighborhood right for you? And, people like a lot of amenities, but some don't. Like I found, in different communities I've been in, like I said, the last one I was in didn't really have any amenities, but people loved it because the yards were huge, and they're like, well, I don't need a pool or anything like that because I'm going to put my own in. So just kind of figuring out what people's main motive is for moving and what is going to work for their family.
I love that. Yeah, because the one that you came from, which do you carefully share the names of the
Mhm.
locations that so Trescott, the one that you came from, like you said, hardly no communities or amenities in that. But like you said, I know my first time out there, I had brought a client this before we met, and what he was looking for, he didn't want all the amenities. He wanted the bigger backyard. He wanted so far gapping in between the neighbors. But with sometimes I know with that neighborhood, the price point was a little higher on that one. And then when I shot some social media with you and your new one, I mean, there's what so I think that your community for new families with younger ones, I mean, there's a surplus to do right within inside that community. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have, what amenities you guys offer at your neighborhood you're at now, and you can share what the name of it if you like?
Yeah, so I'm here at the landings at Hobbs Station, and we're connected to Sworn Park, which is a really cool park that they're still underways with the development. They just put in the groundwork for the playground though, so now the playground is in and completed and has like the mulch and all set up in there. And then they have a dog park and pickleball courts. There's walking trails. And that's one really cool thing about Plainfield in general is all of the walking trails, they all connect. So you can connect to basically every major walking trail here in Indianapolis. And so you can pop out onto the walking trail, like right here outside of the neighborhood, which I see people walking all the time, and then you can connect to downtown Plainfield, which is like a 10-minute drive from here. But if you were out riding your bike and going for a long bike ride, like you could connect to this trail and connect downtown and go to the farmers market that happens on Wednesdays.
And correct me if I wrong
So
if I'm wrong, Plainfield has over 35 miles of connected trails.
I don't know the actual mileage, but
I believe, I want to say, now I'll have to probably fact check myself because if I don't, someone else will. But I believe it's around 35 plus 8 miles of connected trails, which that's absolutely amazing. And if you have little ones or what there's Splash Island and rec all around in Plainfield.
everything. There's so much. And it's really cool because not only are they here, but there's people actually using them. Like every day I see out my window, I see someone walking to go down the trail. And I mean, even on cold days, I'm seeing people walking with their dogs or their kids and just all sorts of families. And it's just really cool to see like the actual use of it, because I know I love a good walking trail and I know I don't have one in my own home. So having one like close by like that would be very nice to use.
I agree. So when someone, let's simplify the building process. Building a home feels overwhelming to most. And I see
Mhm.
that quite often. How do you break down the very first step so it's less intimidating?
So my goal before I ever show a home is to get as much information as I can. And it's not just to be berating with questions or anything like that. My goal is to help someone find out exactly what they financially can afford, what makes sense functionally for them and their family. So, if you have, like in my current neighborhood, if I have someone that comes in that's a single bachelor, I have an amazing floor plan that's going to give them a big bedroom and it's going to have smaller spare rooms, but still have a really big kitchen space. Whereas if I have someone that has maybe two teenagers that need a little bit bigger space, we have a floor plan that makes the bedrooms all close to the same size instead of having one big master. So, like, determining where people are at and what they need helps for what I'm showing them. And if I'm showing a quick move in or if I'm showing a new build from scratch, I can already determine kind of what's needed beforehand or what they're going to look for. And I can also help with just pricing in my head. So that way they're not shocked when they're sitting there adding in different options and we're going through a price out. And having worked in two different types of communities, like this one is a package community. So it's really good for first time home buyers because when you upgrade your package, you upgrade the whole home instead of every little feature in the home. And yeah. And what's nice is if you are in one of those communities, like my last one where everything is a la carte, then we have a design center. So I'll go through the basic pricing and we'll go through everything in the home. And then you meet with the design expert who actually sits there and puts everything together on a panel so you can see what these countertops look like with these floors and these cabinets and see everything next to each other and how it'll all correlate. And she's very good at what she does. Like, she's not going to let you build some crazy thing that you're going to regret later. Like, she would really walk people through it. And so I think we just have a really good team that does that.
I think too, like a design center team like Save Us Not, the package, I think that's where a real estate agent is a fantastic help with the new build
Mm-hmm.
process. Just because like resale value in the future, and I know your team does a fantastic job, but okay, let's not focus maybe so much on light fixtures. Let's focus on something resale, extra garage space, square foot, always kitchen, right? Kitchen's a big selling point. A primary bathroom upgrades can be a huge selling point. So I think design center is where I believe a real estate agent comes in place very nicely in the new build process, just for the future resale of that home.
Absolutely.
And I guess what do you think the biggest misconceptions buyers have about upfront cost of building a new versus buying an existing home?
So most people, I think, have a little misconception because people become very price point focused. So, I mean, I know from looking at my home when I first bought, I put in that max budget and I put it in on realtor.com and I'm looking, and then no home is going to pop up that's above that. So the biggest difference when you're buying new construction that most people don't realize is that we have an in-house lender. So we have Pulte Mortgage, and because we have an in-house lender, our mortgage team pays for packages to buy down rates. So your rate is going to make the most significant impact on your payment per month. So 1 to 2% difference on your rate is going to be $300 to $400 difference in your monthly payment. So when you're searching for a home and you're looking at 300,000 because that's one, what you decided your budget is, or two, maybe that's what you were pre-approved for with another lender who is using current market interest rates. Then if you're looking at a $300,000 home, you could end up paying the exact same amount for new construction that's 350 to even 375. So, and that none of those options may have even popped up on your radar because you may have had that price point, cut off whenever you were searching for homes.
And I think that's another factor is like working with an agent that doesn't limit you to just because you're in a certain price range, especially with new construction, having those types of incentives. Work with an agent that knows the market, that knows about those incentives that places are offering, because some people, I see it all the time. I've had first time home buyers or even second people, more seasoned buyers like, oh, we can't afford a new build. They might have a pre-approval here and then they come back and I'm like, well, actually, let me get you in with a new home sales consultant. And in reality, you guys can afford a brand new house. This just happened to me, I want to say a month ago. We were out shopping for a house. They were in a certain price point. And I was like, hey, let's just go. This was out in Green. Where was that? Green something. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I'll come back to it. I'm drawing a blank, but it was... It wasn't Greenfield. It was Greencastle. So took them out there, showed them a few houses. The day that I met them, I'm like, hey guys, I know this is your price point, but let's just go see what new builds offer. And lo and behold, they got theirs built. About 3 months later, they're holding the keys to a brand new build just because some of those incentives that a normal lender, we'll say normal lender, can't offer through what builders offer. So sometimes don't ever count yourself out on looking at new builds ever.
Absolutely. And that's a note to all realtors too, like to make sure to show those options to your home buyers. I mean, the first time I bought a home, I wasn't shown new construction. And maybe, looking back, maybe it's not something I would have done. I did happen to buy at a very low interest time. So I managed to snag that post-COVID market interest rate, but it's we probably won't ever see those kind of rates again. And what we've seen now is the increase in prices from it. So since we won't probably see anything like that again, it's definitely important to at least check out your options. And I always try, to help people at least to come in and see, maybe we can help you or maybe we can't. And that's why the first thing that I do with people before I ever show a home is go over finances, because I'm never going to show someone their dream home that they can't afford. So the first thing I want to do is go over pricing.
Yeah, I absolutely love that about you, Nicole. And that's how I also operate my business, is that I'm not going to show someone, a $600,000 house when their budget's in the 300s. I just don't think that's fair to clients, or I mean, like calling them clients, they end up turning into friends during the process. But why do that to people, right? Let's find out what exactly they qualify for first, is always the number one step. And then we'll show them options in their price point. And then I guess
Exactly.
when you guide clients through the process, what do you do with their must-haves without blowing their budget?
So I really try to go over specifics in the home, and I am a numbers person. I have an economics major, so I am always constantly thinking of numbers myself and thinking about what financially makes the most sense. And sometimes you'll have buyers that come through that, they want everything and they want the premiere of this and or like my last community was a la carte and they want every tiny little feature. So what I try to explain to people, which not every new consultant is going to do, and again, another advantage of having a realtor, is one major thing is you don't want to have so many options that your appraisal could come back low. So a lot of those options that you really like, that you feel add value to your home, may not be what an appraiser is going to look at as value added to a home. And so a lot of the times people find themselves in a huge appraisal gap because they went above and beyond on options. And I try to help people and have that conversation up front too. Pretty much every home builder is going to have it in their contract that a buyer has to come up with a difference on appraisal gaps. So if that's the case, and you have a buyer that wants $150,000 to $200,000 in options, which may sound crazy, but I have seen it done, you have to be upfront with them and tell them what might happen. And so what I try to do is really focus on what are the must-haves and what is going to be easy to add later. So for me, being very financially conscious with being a numbers person, if you were to have a home, some builders offer lighting fixtures. We do not, but some builders do. So if you were to add lighting fixtures to your home, that lighting fixture might be $100, $200 at Menards. If you're paying that over 30 years, it's now cost you for $500, right? So, and something like a lighting fixture is easy to put in. Something like handles on your cabinets. Yes. Faucets are very easy to change. So sometimes maybe getting the lower end faucets, and maybe you don't even care about what's in your spare bath or your other bathroom. Maybe you only care about the kitchen faucet. Then change that one faucet later. Don't upgrade the whole house and pay thousands of dollars in your mortgage at an interest rate. Right.
That's what I'm so glad you brought that up, because I see that often where they upgrade their lights, they upgrade they upgrade the silly stuff that costs you so much less. Get the house, do it later, because you'll have a faucet, but go to one of the hardware stores and put you in a new faucet. Or we're gonna have
cabinet
to start
hardware.
Yes, cabinet hardware. I'm sorry, but do that. And maybe you agree with me. I always say do things that's going to cost more money after. So if you're building, do anything that's behind the walls, electricals, things like that are going to cost you more down the road than what it cost up front. So like if someone
Exactly.
wants,
And things that are just hard to do. I mean, it's hard to change out your floors. You're living in your home, you're standing on your floors, right? Can you imagine not having any floors suddenly on one entire level? Like that takes a lot. You got to move all the furniture, you got to do all that. Upgrade your floors, upgrade things like that are actually hard to do later. Get what you want out of the home. So if you want the higher end flooring, or if you want the nicer kitchen, you want the built-in kitchen, like
yes,
a
you want the
built-in
kitchen, you
gourmet
want the
kitchen is
countertop.
more expensive. Yeah, like to change that out later, the countertops, especially if you're looking at a difference, like laminate is easy to change out, but quartz is not, and quartz is expensive. And so if you have the option to upgrade that now, do it now.
Same with the, which I said earlier, the primary. If you want that walk-in shower, do that with the builder. Something like that.
Absolutely. Showers are like one of the biggest costs.
Yes,
Yes.
do that
Kitchen
with the
and
builder
bathroom.
instead of later on. And even with like the nice luxury vinyl plank, I know that is huge for people, and I've seen it where, and I've recommended it. Do your main living areas, but you can leave your bedrooms as the builder grade carpet. Change those out later, just to kind of like save that money. Okay, your living spaces, I get it. You want that LVP flooring because, like you said, that is harder to do down the road. But leaving carpet in the bedrooms, that's something that's more obtainable for people, I think, to do that
Right.
later down the road, just to save them a little money in the beginning.
Absolutely. And, you also have to justify like what the cost is too. Like at my last community, I remember, and now prices always change. So don't quote me on it being the exact same now, but I remember one that surprised me was, right, upgrading your carpet upstairs, and it was the entire upstairs took you from a 5-pound pad to an 8-pound pad, which my dad will always tell me the pad makes the biggest difference in carpet, not the carpet itself. But upgrading your entire upstairs, including the actual stairs, was like $1,300. I'm like, you're not going to buy carpet for that. I've refinished most of my floors in my house and done them ourselves and still paid more than that. So I'm like, like it depends on, not every cost is going to equate to, exactly what you're looking for, or, you have to like really dive into like what matters most and what's easiest to change later.
Yep. So that kind of leads us to the next, like, can you share a story of a buyer who hesitated to build but used a smart strategy to get exactly what they wanted?
Yes. So I actually just had one recently, and they were planning on moving into a quick move in. So they had no intention of building. And most of this community does quick move ins in the community that I'm at now. So we only do typically 1 to 2 a month as far as new actual builds from scratch. So they found the perfect home. Everything was exactly what they wanted in the home, except for the yard. And they also really wanted a little bit later of a timeline. So we didn't have that exact home coming up later in another timeline. So since we didn't have that option coming up later on, we talked about it and realized maybe they could push their timeline a little bit longer and do a new build. So they're going to have temporary housing. I think they're moving in with family for maybe 2 months. And while that can seem like the end of the world to some people, I can trust you, like, trust me that it's not. I drove an hour and a half one way every day for 9 months, and I still look back at that time. I was in the process of moving to the city, and I look back at that time and I'm like, that was like a blink of an eye, and it was 9 months of like a very long commute. And moving in with family may be uncomfortable, but you're going to look at it, and then you're going to look at your brand new home that you picked out every single option you wanted. They got the beautiful backyard. with the tree line so they don't see their neighbors. Like they got everything they wanted. And we ended up getting almost the exact same cost. So it was, it was one of those like, okay, yeah, like it's worth it. It's worth the struggle for, like I said, the temporary housing for a month or two, you know, and then they were able to get everything they wanted. So it really, I think, helps them really see the bigger picture when we looked at all of it together. And it was like, okay, can we do this for a little bit? Like, yes, we can do this to get the house we really want.
Well, that kind of, what is your most rewarding experience when handing a client keys to their finished home?
So I told a story just the other day too, and I had a couple that was 7 months pregnant, and they moved into their dream home back to the area where they were from. So they lived out of state for the last several years because of work, and were finally like coming back to this area. And I told her, I always bring in a gift to my clients when we do our celebration walkthrough. And this time, knowing that she was 7 months pregnant and with a baby girl, which I have a baby girl as well. So naturally, I had to buy some cute little girl outfits and different things as part of their gift. But I bring them in their gift and they're so excited. And I asked them when they were moving in. And they told me, so they were closing that day. And I knew like they were obviously coming from out of state. And they were like, well, our movers are actually hired for tomorrow. So the big moving truck is coming out here tomorrow. We're already out here with the dogs and everything. And she told me, we've got an air mattress. We're sleeping in this house tonight. And I looked at her, I was like, you are 7 months pregnant and you are sleeping on an air mattress. And she was like, oh, it's our home. She was like, I'm not missing one day in our new home. And I was like, that is like the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And also like kudos to you, because there's no way I could have slept on an air mattress when I was 7 months pregnant. It was just really cool to see that excitement.
Just that excitement alone brings me back to the time when I bought my very first house. I remember I couldn't move in that weekend because my better half wasn't able to get off work. So I remember coming to my house I have two sisters, a twin sister and a younger sister. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to get in the house. But I was like, I don't have any of my furniture. Oh gosh, we came over with lawn chairs and sat in my living room for hours and did absolutely nothing but either walk around. The excitement of getting a home. That just brought her excitement. I mean, I wasn't 7 months pregnant, but that excitement feels so fresh just because, and that's what I always bring myself back to when dealing with first time home buyers, is the excitement that I felt getting my first home. Like it's the best feeling in the world. What an accomplishment. Just so fantastic. I love that story.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm right there with you. Like mine was only 5 years ago. I bought my first home and we had the same thing. We had lawn chairs set up in our entryway room and we were playing games and we ordered pizza and we hung out. And I had planned to do all this painting and all this stuff and move in like a week later. Not a chance. We moved in the next day. I was like, we are in this house. Like, I was so excited. And yeah,
I know I couldn't wait to go back over there the next day just to sit in an empty living room, but it was my living room to sit in. So it was
right?
The best feeling, the best feeling.
Yeah, setting all your stuff in the countertops that are empty before they're all filled with everything.
Letting my nephew and my son run around playing hide and seek in an empty house. For some reason, I don't know what it is about little kids, but an empty house is magical. I mean, even when I am out showing,
absolutely.
Yeah, even when I'm out showing families houses and they have their littles with them running around and, they're opening every closet door, kind of hiding. It's just magic. That's what all I have to say. It's just magic.
Absolutely.
Nicole, what is the smartest strategies for buyers who need a perfect time to sell their current home with the completion of their new build?
So personally, just because I've seen this a couple of times with contingency issues. So most new builds, if you are buying a quick move-in, most builders won't do contingencies at all. And some, if you're buying it, if you're building from scratch, we will do contingencies. There are a lot of rules with the contingencies, and everything is very specific. So with the timelines, as far as everything, my advice, list sooner rather than later. List your home, work on getting your home sold. If you get your home sold and you have to deal with a temporary housing for a brief period, that is way easier to deal with than having your contingency fall through, having issues with your loan application because of your contingency falling through, possibly losing your like brand new home that you want to get because your home hasn't sold. We never, we never truly know. I mean, I know you'll know more as a realtor, obviously, like how quickly a home is going to sell, but we never truly know, like, is this home going to sell tomorrow? Is this home going to sell in 4 months from now? So instead of teetering on that hopeness, let's like list sooner rather than later.
What would you say to, like, from if someone's building a house from the ground up, what is the time frame with your builder that it takes during that whole process?
So we take 5 to 6 months, and that's also just a really good thing to look at. Anytime you're looking at a new build, I've heard of a lot of builders that can complete a home in 2 to 3 months. That kind of scares me personally just because it seems very fast. So look at your time frame. I think 5 to 6 months is a really good time frame. Really make sure everything is checked through the whole process. We passed all tests throughout the whole process. And then you have some builders that might be more custom that are going to take a little bit longer. Oh, I've heard of builders that take 8 to 9 months to build a home. So really just looking at the time frame and making sure you know that if you need to sell your home, knowing how long that's going to be. So for here with us, it's 5 to 6
I
months.
think that's what helps
Mhm.
too, is getting with an agent that knows the new home build process. Say if yours takes
Yeah,
that long and I'm the list, we'll just say I'm the list agent on that. Well, I'm going to look at my clients, their house that they need to sell. I'm going to look and see, the condition of it, how long do days on market maybe for them, to kind of give us a time frame when we should list. And then there's certain things too, as real estate agents, you can put in the contract, where there's not maybe that gap where they're having to move into a family member's house or find a temporary. So I think that's good to have an agent that kind of knows that process, and it can partnership with someone like Nicole through that process, so there isn't that gapping in between. And that's
absolutely.
I was just getting ready to ask you what makes a strong partnership between a real estate agent and a new home consultant to protect the buyer during construction delays. And I think that's key. I think, and you can chime in on this too, that just having a great working relationship, a trust between us, because essentially you kind of work for the builder and I work for the client. I mean, I know you work for the client as well, but you're hired through Pulte Homes, as if I'm just kind of like a neutral
Absolutely.
party. Well, I'm not a neutral party. I'm more for the buyer. I'm not saying that you're not, because I know for a fact you are, Nicole. I know you're a great person. So I trust you with people that would come your way that are my clients. Like, you're my preferred Pulte person just because I know how you work your business. So how do you feel about that, the
Absolutely. And it's
partnership?
good to just have, oh yeah, and it's just good to have multiple opinions, and we help, feed off of each other. I mean, I've given recommendations before, like, someone comes in here, they don't have a real estate agent and they're looking for, to list their home. Like, you're my go-to. So I'm going to reach out to them and say, like, okay, well, here, this person's amazing. Like, she's going to help you through this whole process. And so really helping each other and just, looking out for people's best interest. And, there moving or building a new home is a living, breathing thing, we like to say. So throughout that process, things happen, delays happen. Maybe we can't get certain materials in or something like that. So having a real estate agent that is going to help the process and, help the buyer by saying, okay, this is what we're experiencing, this is okay. And having a good real estate agent is going to help you understand that those things can happen, up front before they even happen, and going over that stuff. Because a bad relationship will be someone that's, constantly bashing the other person, and that's not really helping the client, right? You're not going to feel any better about your purchase. Yeah. If the delays are this delay, oh, that delay always seems to happen or something like that, that's not really looking out for the client's interest and helping them feel more secure about the home that they just purchased. Instead saying, well, this can happen, and it looks like this happened because of this reason. And just having a good partnership really helps the buyer.
And I think too, for the longest time, and still I see it all the time when I work with buyers, that there's such a misconception about builders and real estate agents not working together. Oh, we don't need a real estate, or our builder doesn't work with it. I can't think of any that does not work with real estate agents off the top of my head. I haven't came across it in my career that a builder isn't willing to work with a real estate agent. In fact, for the majority of the part, I see that sales consultant like yourself don't mind at all if there's a real estate agent involved in the process, which I think for a long time, I just really think that was a huge misconception on buyers' parts about, oh, I'm not bringing my real estate agent with me to this because I don't need one. In reality, I think it's best to have someone it's on your side, kind of walking you through the process, and then you walk them through the process on your portion of the new build process, because you are the master at the new build. Your product like the back of your hand. I know the contracts and
Right.
what is going to help people get the best investment for later down the road when they do go to resell. I know that portion. I think that's too another reason why a working relationship between new home sales consultant and real estate agents are super key in today's world.
Absolutely. And there might be some things that you've uncovered that I haven't yet uncovered with the buyer. So I may not know some specific thing about their history that is going to help determine this option is needed in the home, or this is really what they're looking for. I try to uncover as much as I can, but not everyone tells you everything, and maybe I didn't ask the perfect questions. And, so having a real estate agent that has been working with you for a little while may have already answered all of those questions. And so then it just helps people feel more comfortable and helps people, with making sure that they're getting the right thing.
And heck, two heads are always better than one.
Absolutely.
Nicole, what is your ultimate piece of advice for someone on the fence whether a new construction is their smartest move today?
So buying a house is a huge decision, especially if it's your first time home. Like I said earlier, I bought my first home only 5 years ago, and there are a million things I wish I could change about my home. And a lot of things I didn't think about buying a resale home was I didn't understand all the major purchases I was going to end up making. I knew some of the upfront things that my home didn't have, such as, a patio, and I needed a fence and things like that. So I knew some of those costs up front. I didn't expect my HVAC to go out when I was 6 months pregnant. I didn't expect my furnace to go out within a year. It was just a lot of different things that I've had to endure the cost of that, you kind of get to avoid when you buy new construction because luckily your home is under warranty. And with the Pulte home, you also have one of the best warranties in the business. So we have a 10-year structural warranty, which means if your home is losing its structure within, 10 years, we're going to fix that. And we have an entire huge warranty team that is going to help with that process. And I think the biggest thing is really opening up as far as like price point and just going in and seeing. Go in and see what your payment is actually going to look like. Because in reality, 90% of people looking at a home are not set at how much the home is, it's how much their monthly payment is. So if your monthly payment is the exact same, then why wouldn't you buy new? Right? It's the same thing if you were looking at a car. If you were looking at a 2020 car and you're looking at a 2026 car, maybe the 2020 car has a couple more options, but the 2026 car is brand new and you have the exact same payment between the two. Why wouldn't you want to buy new, right? It's probably got a better warranty, all those things. Yeah. So it's not going to cost you as much over the lifetime of the house. And you got everything you wanted in it. Everything's brand new. You're the only one who lived in it. So I think people just need to, give it more of a chance than they do. So instead of just being totally, blinders on, I'm only looking at resale under this price point, just go in and see. Go in and see what the price is going to look like and what your payment might look like. And you might be really surprised to find out that you can afford new.
I know when I have buyers, it's in the price point for a new build or close to it. I know, and you're fantastic about it. And I know other builders are too, sending out emails like, what is your incentive? What are you guys offering? So I lay those, that's something I do as an agent. I can't speak on every agent, but I'm like, okay, well, here's some options for a brand new home build. Some people, I mean, I've sold new home builds, so they are like, absolutely, let's do it. And then you still have some people, and I get it too, that they don't want the HOA, which is normally the biggest factor in why people don't want to look at the new builds. The HOA kind of gets them, but a lot of the time, especially that first time home buyer, if they find out that they're able to get in there and it's their starter home, you better bet your butt they're probably going to go with a new build.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the HOA because I do want to clarify just some of the negativity around the HOAs. I personally, I live in a neighborhood. I just said I have a resale home. My home was built like 20 years ago. And my HOA, to be blunt, kind of sucks. I don't pay very much a year, but they end up being more of an annoyance. I still have problems all the time with things being out. Someone parked a trailer in front of my driveway for like 3 months. I mean, we have constant issues in our neighborhoods. In Pulte Homes, I don't see those issues. I see us having a good community, a well-maintained community. People are keeping up with their properties, and almost all of Pulte communities, not 100% of them, but most Pulte communities offer free cable and internet with the HOA. So like here in my current community, our HOA cost is $112 a month, but we provide giga speed internet and 50 to 75 cable channels, which for a lot of people takes care of that bill.
Yeah,
entirely.
that's a big bill. I know at my household, that's a big bill for HOA to cover. That is fantastic. And I get people who don't want a HOA, but then I also see the other side. I personally like HOA because it does keep your neighborhood clean. Everything is so tidy. You don't have it just makes the curb appeal when you pull in that neighborhood look a little nicer than say a neighborhood that's a little older and the HOA is kind of falling off. And you can tell when you pull into those neighborhoods where HOA is no longer in existence. And I think a big one too that I like is when they put amount of rentals they can put in there. Nothing against rentals, but sometimes, when it's not your house, then people don't take the best care of it. So I do like that aspect where they kind of limit the rentals down in certain neighborhoods just to keep the quality of the neighborhood nicer.
Absolutely.
Excellent, Nicole. I'm so excited you are here with me today. Do you have anything else for anyone?
I don't know that I really have anything else to add other than definitely come see us. Like I said, I'm here at the landings at Hobbs Station in Plainfield. We have Avon Schools and a really wonderful neighborhood with great amenities. And if you're ever looking at a Pulte home, definitely reach out to me. I can help in any Pulte area. So I can help with any Pulte home that we sell.
Nicole, tell everyone where they can find you.
So I'm here at the landings at Hobbs Station in Plainfield, and you can find me either through email. My email is nicole.fischer, and it's Nicole.Fischer, Fischer, @pulte.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being on Unlocking More with Brittany McWilliams.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Unlocking More with Brittany McWilliams. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss an episode. Join the conversation on social media, and we'll see you next time for more expert advice, local insight, and indie love. I'm Brittany McWilliams with Daniels Real Estate, and I look forward to helping you make your next move your best move.